Lecture is based on kinetic molecular theory, that is known as KMT. So in this lecture we're going to talk about the history of KMT. This topic is as important as the atom in the chemistry. So be clear about the history. First of all, if we talk about the kinetic molecular theory, so basically kinetic molecular theory is a simple historical significant classical model of thermodynamic behavior of gases. Now here the important point is that the kinetic molecular theory, the word kinetic explains the behavior which is based on the molecules of the gases, or we can also term it as the behavior of gases. In this theory, there are some significant points that clearly explains us the movement, the properties, the characteristics of the gases. So it is termed as the kinetic molecular theory. Now kinetic molecular theory is comparison, or we can say that combination of some of the theories that is based or that is given by different scientists, in which it explains the macroscopic properties of gases such as volume, pressure, temperature, number of mole, as well as transport properties such as viscosity, thermal conductivity, mass diffusivity, collisions due to the time reversibility of microscopic dynamics, that is also known as microscopic reversibility. The kinetic molecular theory is also connected to the principle of detailed balance in terms of the Foucault dissipation theorem for Brownian motion and Onsager reciprocal relation. If we talk about the combination, so basically it was first given by the Daniel Bernoulli in 1738, John Harapth in 1820 and John James in 1845. As I told you that it is combination of different theories. That's why there are different scientists. This theory was later extended by Maxwell and Boltzmann. Now you will be familiar with these names, but before the names I told you just before, it was the name, those were the beginner, or we can say that those were the first representative of the kinetic molecular theory. That this lecture is based on the history of the kinetic molecular theory. So let's start the history. So in 1738, as I told you, that the Daniel published Hydrodynamica, which laid the basic for the kinetic molecular theory of gases. In this work, Bernoulli or Daniel posited the argument that gases consist of great number of molecules moving in all directions, that their impact on the surface caused the pressure of the gases, and that their average kinetic energy determines the temperature of the gas. The theory was not immediately accepted. As you all know that this theory was given at the time when there was not any concept of the atoms, or even not any concept of the solid and liquid. That's why it was not accepted at that time. But after, because of conversion of energy had not yet been established, as I told you, and it was not obvious to physicists how the collisions between the molecules could be perfectly elastic. To have a detailed lecture on the elastic and inelastic collision, you can check the description for the detailed lecture. Otherwise, pioneers of the kinetic theory, whose work was also largely neglected by their contemporaries, as I told you, the names were Michael Lominus, Georgius Lysaga, published in 1818, John Harapet, and John James Waterston, which connected their research with the development of mechanical explanation of gravitation. Now here, the only three scientists were successful in combining all the concepts of these all three theories. 1856, August Coring created a simple gas kinetic model which only considered the translation motion of the gas particle. In 1857, after 1 year, Rodolfo Clausius developed a similar but more sophisticated version of that theory, which included translations and a contrary to Coring, also rotational and vibrational molecular motions. In this same work, he introduced the concept of mean free path of particles, which is also the part of the kinetic molecular theory. Now here, as I told you, that the kinetic molecular theory is combination of different theories. That's why I'm telling the all the history based on it, because here most of the points are taken from these histories. Here I can highlight the words or the theories. Now here the one of the, we can say that one of the theory that is given by one of the scientists, that is also the part of the kinetic molecular theory, the translation motion of particles, as well as this one, the contrary motion of the particles, the rotational motion of the particles, the vibrational motion of the particle. This is a part of the kinetic molecular theory. Now here the word mean free path is used. I will tell you about the mean free path very soon in the upcoming lectures. In 1859, after reading a paper about the diffusion of molecules, the here word diffusion is used, that is also property of gas particles, by Colossus, Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell. Now here, as I told you that the kinetic molecular theory was extended by Maxwell. So here, the role of Maxwell's camp. The Clerk-Maxwell formulated the Maxwell distribution of molecular velocities, which gave the properties or proportions of molecules having a certain velocity in a specific range. Now this is also part of molecular theory. This was the first ever statistical law in physics, Maxwell. Now as you all know that the Maxwell also works in physics, so here it was the start of all the journeys of Maxwell. Maxwell also gave the first mechanical argument that molecular collision extend on equalization of temperature and hence tendency towards the equilibrium. Now here in 1873, 13-page article Molecules, Maxwell states, now this part is bit important, that we are told that an atom is a material point invested and around by potential forces, that when flying molecules strike against a body in constant successions, it causes what is called pressure of the air and other gases. Now here he gives us a theory that when particles are collided to each other, they produces pressure, that is still the part of the kinetic molecular theory. Now Boltzmann generalized Maxwell's achievements and formulated that the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, the algorithmic connection between the entropy and probability. Now these are also part of the physics. So this was the history, or as I told you that Maxwell and Boltzmann were the people who extended the theory. So this was the kinetic molecular theory's history. In upcoming videos, I'll tell you about the assumptions. So till then, thanks.